For today's lesson is all about factoring quadratic trinomials, specifically the perfect square trinomials. So here are the examples of perfect square trinomials, and if you will notice, their factors are two binomials that are exactly the same. Now, with regards to their sign, okay, yung factors niya, pina-follow niya lang yung sign ng middle term. If the middle term of the trinomial is positive, so yung factors niya ay 2 positive. Okay? If the middle term is negative, so yung factors niya, yung operation na gagamitin yung subtraction or negative din. Now, since they are exactly the same, you can also write the factors as this form: quantity of x plus y squared or quantity of x minus y squared. And ito, tinatawag to na square of binomial. So if you can still recall your special product, di ba? Yung square of binomial, yung product niya ay itong perfect square trinomial. But before we discuss on how to really factor quadratic trinomials, let us first discuss the term quadratic and trinomial. Okay? I know you are familiar with trinomials. Of course, trinomial is simply, it is a polynomial with 3 terms. So, expect na lahat ng given dapat 3 terms yan. Kung hindi, hindi siya trinomial. And now, we have the term quadratic. When we say quadratic, it refers to the highest degree of the exponent. So, kapag sinabi natin quadratic, expect that the highest degree of the exponent is 2. Ibig sabihin yan, hindi kayo makakakita ng variable na may exponent na mas mataas sa 2, kundi hindi na siya quadratic. Okay? So, first, I will be giving expressions and then try first to identify if it is an example of quadratic trinomials or not. So, here are the example expressions. Okay, so with these 4 examples, what do you think is under quadratic trinomials? Okay, so it is only 1 and 4. Right? Now, bakit hindi naging quadratic trinomials yung number 2? Though trinomial yan kasi 3 terms, pero 'di ba, dapat quadratic wherein the highest exponent must be 2. And in this given, ang highest exponent niya ay 3. Kaya it is not considered as quadratic trinomial. In number 3, this is not also a quadratic trinomial. Kasi obviously, it only have 2 terms. It is only a binomial. So only 1 and 4 is an example of quadratic trinomials. So we are done identifying if the given is a quadratic trinomials. Ngayon naman, identify naman natin kung yung given quadratic trinomials ay isang perfect square trinomial. Now, in order to determine if the given is a perfect square trinomial, ito yung mga conditions. The first one is that the first term and the last term are perfect squares. The second one is the middle term is twice the product of the square roots of the first term and last term. So let us check these examples. First given is x squared plus 6x plus 9. Obviously, this is a quadratic trinomial. Kasi it has 3 terms and the highest exponent is 2. Now, kailangan na natin nga i-check kung perfect square naman to. Sabi sa first condition, first term and last term are perfect square. So dito, our first term is x squared. Then our last term is 9. Check natin. X squared is a perfect square, right? Because the exponent of the variable is an even number. And obviously, 9 is also a perfect square. So it satisfies the first condition. Try na natin ngayong second. Ang sabi, the middle term is twice the product of the square roots of the first term and last term. So kunin muna natin ngayong square root ni first term and last term. What is now the square root of x squared? Simply divide the exponent by 2. Therefore, the square root of x squared is x. Then, square root of 9, that is 3. And sabi, it is twice. So, simply multiply these square roots by 2. So, x times 3, that is 3x. 3x times 2 is equal to 6x. So, ibig sabihin, since nasatisfy niya yung dalawang condition, this is an example of perfect square trinomials. Try naman natin yung pangalawa. Again, let's check the first and the last term. 4y squared. 4 is a perfect square. Y squared is also a perfect square. 25, perfect square din. So, check naman natin ngayon yung middle term. What is now the square root of 4y squared? Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of y squared is y. Square root of 25 is 5. Then, don't forget to multiply this by 2. So, 2y times 5, that is equal to 10y. Times 2 is equal to 20y. So, tama din. Ibig sabihin, itong dalawang to ay example ng perfect square trinomials. Going now to factor the first given. It is x squared plus 14x plus 49. So, first, let us check if this is an example of a perfect square trinomials. So, first term and last term must be a perfect square. X squared, perfect square. 49 is also a perfect square. Now, middle term, so we get the square root of the first term. The square root of x squared is x. Square root of last term, so square root of 49 is 7. Then don't forget to multiply them by 2. So x times 7, this is 7x. 7x times 2 is 14x. Since we get the middle term, so it is a perfect square trinomial. Now, a while ago, I said that the factors of perfect square trinomial is simply two identical binomial. Ibig sabihin, parehong-parehong binomial sila. Or it is the square of binomial. So now, how are we going to get the two identical binomial? So simply, first is get the square root of the first term. So what is the square root of x squared? Divide the exponent by 2. So that is x. Then what is now the square root of 49? It is 7. So now, how about with their signs? Always remember that the sign of the factors is always the same with the sign of the middle term. Tandaan nyo na yung sign ng factors nyo pareho lagi dun sa sign ng middle term. So, kung yung middle term nyo ay positive, dapat ang signs ng mga factors ay positive. Kung negative naman, dapat pareho din silang negative. So, since in this example, your middle term is positive, so dapat pareho din silang positive. So, since again, they are two identical binomial, we can write this one as the square of binomial. So, we can write it as the quantity of x plus 7 squared. So this is now the answer. Now, how are we going to know if this is the right factors? Of course, we will do the checking. So, try natin tong FOIL method. So, x times x, this is x squared. X times 7, you have 7x. 7 times x, this is 7x. 7 times 7, this is 49. Then, combined like terms, 7x plus 7x is equal to 14x. So, we have x squared plus 14x plus 49. So, since we arrive with the given, it means that this is the right factors. Second example, y squared plus 22y plus 121. Again, check muna natin kung perfect square trinomial to. First and last term must be perfect square. Y squared, perfect square. 121 is also a perfect square. So, for the middle term, get their square roots. Square root of y squared is y. Square root of 121 is 11. Then again, don't forget to multiply them by 2. So, y times 11 is 11y. 11y times 2 is 22y. So, this is a perfect square. So, now, let us get the factors. Square root of y squared, y. Square root of 121 is 11. Then, with the sign, since the middle term is positive, so the factors are also positive. So, the answer is quantity of y plus 11 times the quantity of y plus 11, or simply the quantity of y plus 11 squared. Third, we have b squared minus 40b plus 400. Check. First term, b squared, perfect square. Last term, 400, perfect square. Middle term, so square root of b squared is b. Square root of 400, 20. Square, then multiply them by 2. So, b times 20 is 20b times 2 is 40b. Disregard first the sign. Okay, so 40b, correct. Factors. Square root of b squared, b. Square root of 400 is 20. Then the sign, since this is negative, so the factors must also be negative. So the answer is quantity of b minus 20 squared. Next example, 25e squared minus 70e plus 49. Again, check muna natin kung perfect square trinomial. 25e squared, perfect square. 49, perfect square. Now, let us check the middle term. Square root of 25e squared is 5e. Square root of 49 is 7. Multiply them by 2. So, 5e times 7 is 35e. Times 2 is 70e. So, let us factor now. Again, square root of 5e squared is 5e. Square root of 49 is 7. Now, since the middle term is negative, our factors must be negative. Therefore, the factors are 5e minus 7 squared. Next one, 9m squared plus 24mn plus 16n squared. Quadratic pa rin naman sila, di ba? Kasi half degree is 2. So, check natin kung perfect square. 9m squared, perfect square. 16n squared, perfect square. For the middle term, square root of 9m is 3m. Square root of 16n squared is 4n. Multiply them by 2. So, 3m times 4n, that is 12mn times 2, 24mn. So, let us get the factors. Square root of 9m squared is 3m. Square root of 16n squared is 4n. Then, sign of middle term, positive. So, yung factors natin, positive din. So, the answer is quantity of 3m plus 4n squared. Since nakaabot na kayo dito, nasa bonus part na kayo. Nakikita nyo na meron akong dalawang examples. So, gusto ko itry nyo tong sagutan sa math notebook nyo or any piece of paper. Now, kapag may sagot na kayo, isend nyo sa akin to sa message dun sa Schoology. Okay? Basta nag-try kayong sagutan to, may 1 point na kagad kayo. Additional point sa seatwork. Kung sakaling tama kayo sa dalawa, so may plus 2 pa, may 3 points ka na. Kung isa lang, so plus 1 lang, kaya 2 points yon. Now, ang tip lang, huwag nyo itong sasabihin sa mga classmates nyo. Okay? Gusto ko din kasing malaman kung talagang pinapanood nyo yung discussion natin o hindi. Kasi gusto ko talaga malaman kung natututo kayo o hindi sa math. Okay?